Hello dear viewers, welcome back to the channel. It is time for another episode of Id Invaded. So, with 3 episodes left until the end of this series, where are we at so far? We still haven't gone closer to solving the mystery of John Walker. We still don't know who exactly set up Momoki, and what the hell the story is actually supposed to be, right? But at the very least, Narihisago has finally snapped out of his inner subconscious or whatnot, and is gradually heading back to reality, where we just learned that Fukuda has sort of betrayed him again. Well, I say that, but I don't think that's necessarily true. We don't really know Fukuda's agenda yet. I doubt that he even knows, like, the consequences of what he is doing, right? I feel like he's just there for the purpose of chaos, right? But then again, I did say from the very first episode, Fukuda is probably gonna play another major role later on down the line, right? Now I'm just waiting for Hondomachi to also have some, I guess, lingering consequences from the time when her head was drilled in. So, still waiting for that part. But anyways, well, let's see what exactly happens when your conscious is aware of your subconscious, or vice versa. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Oh, by the way, I did a lot of, as usual with my reviews, I do a lot of speculation on what I think is gonna happen and whatnot. A few of you guys have mentioned you think Narihisago is actually John Walker, which is an idea I briefly entertained before, but we'll see. It could be that John Walker is really just a concept or not a particular person, right? Oh, alright. Well, that was a nice little timing there. So, I am actually wondering whether or not John Walker is more of a, an idea planted into the subconscious of people and not any specific person or thing or whatnot. Which I feel like would be a lot, would make actually a lot of sense instead of it being any actual single person. Like, I think there's a reason why John Walker's face is mosaic and whatnot. That also tie into the entire concept of the subconscious being manipulated and so on and so forth. But then how exactly that goes back to Asukai Kiki and the entire, origin of this all, that's something I haven't quite figured out yet. So hopefully we'll be able to solve this before the very last episode. So, like a forced shutdown? Maybe pull the plug somewhere? Or maybe ask Momoki? Hmm? Just an idea. Oh, so, okay, so he did do it on purpose. Well, how does he know how the Idwell works? Oh yeah, I was like, at least beat him up a little. What? Arithmomania. Sort of like a John Nash or something. Ooh. Well, just start walking. So they need to dig to find the numbers. He doesn't want the others to know about this? Ah, that actually makes sense. Okay. Huh. That is interesting. It's an inside job. The date of killing. I have a hard time believing that nobody made this connection before. This is one brilliant mastermind. So she also has her actual job in this world as well. This is... I don't... So, what's she trying to do? Do tell. It's good with numbers. Huh. This is... I don't know what to make of this. This is kind of ironic, kind of compelling, kind of funny at the same time. Alright, so those two have a relationship. Hey, of course. What did I tell you guys? Yeah, but how Oh yeah, but how are they going to convince the others though? Sakai Kiki? And I guess she's either related with the director or related to the creator of the Idwell. Oh, no, probably not the Idwell. Huh. The director? Actually, I think his title was Chief. Are you guys... Yeah, how exactly are you gonna go against your boss? Hmm. uh, what? I guess things are just about to get even more crazier. See you guys after this. Well. Things are certainly getting interesting here, especially with that very ending there. I have a feeling that we're going to get into some real sci-fi stuff now. I mean, the entire series was based on a sci-fi concept as well, you know, the Idwell and all that. But I don't know, with Asuka Kiki floating around there in that kind of suit, and then with the chief looking upon at her as some sort of final weapon, I have a feeling that she might be able to release some mass either hypnosis waves or brain waves or whatnot. Maybe we're going to enter a situation where there's mass mind manipulation or hypnosis, right? We'll see in the next episode. But first, again, pat myself on the back first, and to all those who actually guessed who the actual culprit was, pat yourself on the back as well. It was the chief in the end, right? And we also do see, again, courtesy of the first episode, the sort of connection between Fukuda and Hondomachi, and they were the sort of duo that helped solve the mystery in the end, right? So, in regards to Chief first, now I do believe I first mentioned him being John Walker I think 2 or 3 episodes ago, when Momoki was initially being accused of being a serial killer, right? I think not only has his sort of his character, the way that he talks, the way that he looks at people, there's just something fishy, there's something off about that, right? And I feel like that is more of a feeling based kind of stuff that you get when you watch lots of anime or read lots of manga. There are certain characters who, just by the way that they are drawn and whatnot, exhibit some suspiciousness to them. So that is one thing. But I think what really kind of pushed me to view him as a suspect was when he was talking to the other members, saying that, hey, you guys can use another idwell, and then we might also find another cockpit there, and so on and so forth, right? And just I feel like he's exhibiting a lot of information based on lots of assumptions that he has no basis on, right? He's a little bit too well versed or too accurate in the stuff that he says, considering that this is a sort of very unknown area even for the members of the Kura. So that is what really led to me thinking that he's probably one of the suspects, right? In fact, probably my chief suspect, to be honest. Like I mentioned before, I did entertain the notion of maybe Nari Hisago being John Walker, or maybe it being just entirely a concept. But if there was any single person within that we've already been introduced to already that could have been the mastermind, probably that chief had the highest chance. So, but now that we've got that out of the way, perhaps even more interesting would be what exactly his motives are. Like, what is he trying to achieve by doing this? Is it just a case where, you are manufacturing these criminals, and then you're also in charge of the task force that's catching these criminals? So sort of like, stroking your own ego and then amassing power and influence and whatnot. Is that what he is trying to accomplish? Or is it maybe a case of, he also has some sort of mental illness, it's just he's a megalomaniac, something like that, and he just relishes in control and power and whatnot. And so being the sort of mastermind that's making all of these people dance like puppets, and him being the puppet master, that's something that he really strives for. So it could be that kind of situation as well. Or, of course, we could also get into another twist, which is, again, pretty typical of these kinds of anime and these kinds of plots, and that is, it's not for any particular nefarious purpose, but well, obviously it's wrong, but he has an altruistic motive behind it. He wants to do something. Maybe it's a misshapen belief, but still he believes he's doing the right thing in creating these criminals, creating these serial killers. I don't know, especially with the sort of sci-fi elements at the very end there. I wouldn't put it past this series to maybe eventually give him a motive of, I know, for the betterment of humankind, something like that, for the next step evolution of humans, being able to control the subconscious, so on and so forth, right? I do wonder if that is the way that the series is going to go, but we'll see in the next few episodes. We are quite nearing the end now. I think 2 more episodes after this one, 2 more episodes, and then this series will end. So that was that in regards to the suspect. And what else is there to think about in this one? I guess not really that much else. That's the main part. This is something that he's been plotting for quite a long time, right? Like 3 or 4 years, so on and so forth. I do kind of wonder, right? Like, how exactly the law is supposed to work in this kind of situation. This might be sort of jumping the gun a little bit, but I'm just wondering, because Fukuda has proven himself to be very valuable in these sort of situations, right? And of course, Nari Hisago, even though he did kill people in cold blood, he had a very good excuse, first of all. And secondly, was he driven to do this by John Walker, by these sort of subconscious manipulation by others, right? And if that were the case, who is actually responsible for the killing? Can you be held responsible when your own subconscious is being manipulated and you were manipulated into doing this sort of stuff, right? Is that like how, this is a sort of interesting concept here, especially with what the series is dealing with. We've only really started exploring the concept of, hey, it's actually really possible to influence other people's decisions through their subconscious and whatnot. And if that is true, well, where does the responsibility lie, right? Like, if somebody else influenced me to kill someone, should I get the sentence or should that guy get the sentence, right? Am I actually just completely innocent of the act or what? So that's also something else that I do think, I do hope that they will tackle in the end there. Not to say that what Fukuda or Narihisago did was right, but, being the protagonist, I feel like we as viewers do want to cut them some slack, in a sense, right? So yeah, and I think that pretty much covers this episode. There are some other fun stuff as well, such as the story behind Fukuda. Apparently he's a genius, so he drilled a hole through his mind to lessen the burden of genius, if you will, towards numbers. Although in Hondomachi's case, it seems that drilling a hole through her head allowed her to think more clearly. I don't know whether she also suffered from some sort of mental illness as well, or mental ailment. But I guess it worked out for her in the end, right? And then of course we've got the device director. We got the little relationship thingy going on, but whatever. So yeah, and we also finally learned, why exactly it was actually Narihisago's well and all that. So at least this is stuff that I do appreciate this story doing, right? There are some elements of it that I'm still kind of on the fence about, but for the most part, a lot of the things they do explain in a logical fashion, and it just makes sense, right? It doesn't come out of completely nowhere, and so you're just like, what the hell is that, right? I think right now, the biggest W2F that I have is still in regards to Asukai Kiki and Kairu and this whole thing, but that turns out to be, sort of like the central points of this story, so I think it's something that we just accept as sci-fi and go on forward. So, that's my review for Id Invaded episode 11. I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.